Ugh, all these bloody billionaires and their bloody pissing contest. Who's this one now? Argent Vandergeld, thought to be lost after initial space flight, returns to Earth, claiming to be new man. Promises scientific developments that will change all of mankind. Well, that's not suspicious at all now, is it? Pete, time for a hunt! I knew this day would come. Other vampires, satanic witches, sea monsters, maniacs, and now finally aliens. This just sounds so familiar. Where have I seen this scenario before? Oh, hello there, boys and ghouls. Welcome back to another episode of Damian's Dreadfuls. As always, I am your ever so charming host, Lord Damian MacDonovan. You'll have to excuse me as I try to rush through tonight's presentation. It seems I may have an extraterrestrial threat to try to take on. Fittingly enough, our film for tonight is just that kind of movie. Oh, there you are. What were you doing?
I was playing chess with one of those old computer things.
And how did that go?
I won.
Alright, well, help me get some supplies together. We have aliens to dispatch. You see, creeps, Mr. Vandergeld's headlines are very familiar to anyone who has seen a few old sci-fi films, tonight's movie in particular. For tonight's feature, I'm bringing to you the classic Roger Corman knockoff of another more popular film. What's that, you say? Roger Corman making a mockbuster? No, surely not, no. But yes, tonight's movie, Night of the Blood Beast, was Roger Corman's attempt to rip off the 1951 film The Thing from Another World. It seems a little odd that Corman would wait nearly 7 years to do this, but hey, I'm still trying to write my treatise on why the things in Twilight aren't really vampires, so I totally understand. It was also inspired by the existing space race at the time. But before we can get into the hunt proper, we'll have to pad out a little time with a little pre-game. Anyway, to do that, here is the next part of the Bela Lugosi serial, The Phantom Creeps. Tonight, Chapter 8, Trapped in the Flames, here on Damian's Dreadfuls.
gonna bring on the Coast Guards. We can't get away with that box now. We'd never be able to get out of the harbor.
What are you gonna do?
Take it to the river warehouse until I can figure out a plan to smuggle it out of the country.
Brown, get that suitcase out of the boat. Get the small boat ready.
Yes, sir. Now, here's what I want you to say if anybody comes aboard asking questions. Bob! Hey, Bob! Bob! Right here. Come on over here, fellas. Hey, Art. Are you hurt? Not at all. I bailed ourselves before the crash. Quick. We better get to that yacht and try to find the box. All right, you get some dry clothes out of the stern locker. I get over there.
All I know is that a Mr. Curtis chartered the yacht for a pleasure cruise. He was on board with some friends, and then they started shooting my plane full of holes. Why? I've no idea, though I did hear them say something about an attack.
Find out anything, Jim?
No, whoever was here made a clean getaway.
Put it in the Coast Guard dock.
Yes, sir.
Have one of the boys check on him tomorrow.
Right.
You better hurry to Mallory's and have him construct another neometer so we can find that box. If foreign agents smuggle it out of this country, it might mean war.
Well, if I were you, I'd call up the Army and round up these spies.
Create a fine international incident. No, these things have to be done undercover.
That's just the trouble. You don't give me anything worth writing a story about.
Had a good one about that Navy plane that crashed last night.
Mm-hmm. And my editor bowled me out because I couldn't tell him who it was or what they were trying to do.
Why not let her break the story about our belief that Zorka is still alive?
Can't see what good that would do. Anyway, we're not sure of it ourselves.
The only explanation for the things that have been happening.
That's right, Bob. Remember the mechanical Iron Man and how things are always being taken by something invisible.
I'm still not sure. Anyway, I've got Max stationed at Zorka's house for any clue that Zorka is still alive.
Are you sure there was another man in that office where you got that box?
Certainly, I saw him.
If you remember, I suspected some time ago that Zorka might not be dead. And things have happened since to verify that suspicion. The office was taken under the name of Zane. Note the Z, as in Zorka. Also the fact that it must be someone very familiar with his work.
We can easily find out. The two of them are still locked up in the vault there.
If it is Zorka, we can send both him and his secret to our country. It'll save us endless time in learning how to use whatever it is he has invented.
I'll bring them both down here. We can make that fellow Monk talk anyway.
Did you put the box in the river warehouse?
Yes. Harlan's going to analyze its contents if he ever gets up nerve enough to open it.
Make me one of those belts, Dr. Zorka, so I can make myself invisible, too. If you don't, the cops will get me sure, and I'll spend the rest of my life in jail.
There's no time for that. Besides, I need someone to draw suspicion from myself.
What we do? We can't go back to our office in that building now they know it's there.
You forget I can go back unseen. Take the car and hide it in our secret garage and wait for me in the laboratory.
How are you going to get there?
Never mind that. The important thing is to find out what they have done with my meteorite. Guess the chief had the right hunch.
What's that?
Zorka's still alive. Whoever worked his way out of that vault had plenty on the ball. Well, he'll never find that box of his where we've got it hidden in the warehouse. If it was Zorka, he'd head back to his laboratory. We'll look that place over. Better go in separate cars. You take the south road. We'll meet at Zorka. Take that, will you, Bob?
Yeah? Yeah. All right, Mac, we'll be right out. Mac says the car just arrived at Zorka's house. He thinks some of the foreign agents were in it. Say, Jean comes back, keep her here.
Take it easy now. No telling what we'll run into in there.
Another carload have come since I phoned you.
We'll close in and see what's going on.
What puzzles me is that they've got the box. What do they want here?
They probably have the same hunch we have, that Zorka's still alive. Just stay here, Mac. Keep your eyes open.
Yes, sir.
Now we will learn what they have done with my precious element.
Give me a boost, Jim. Maybe I can see him.
Suppose they find us. Our Iron Man will protect us.
See anything? No, I can't see anything, but I can hear them.
Well, there's nobody in this part of the house. That's a cinch. If we find the old boy, do we take him to the same place we did the box? Yeah, it's handy to the pier. Chief wants to ship them both out of the country as soon as possible.
What do you mean, handy to the pier? It's a half-mile from the waterfront.
Oh, you're thinking about the other joint. I mean the old warehouse across from the Greene Star Theater. Pipe down, both of you.
We have tricked them into revealing the hiding place of our meteorite.
Get in your car, Mac, and watch them. They leave trail.
Yes.
Now I shall punish them for robbing me. See that they are all destroyed. I must go to that warehouse.
Well, let's get out of here.
other boys in there?
Oh, they're done for. We gotta get to the river warehouse. Zarka's heard about it, sure. He's on his way there now.
There's a car trailing us. Step on.
Say he's gaining on us. You better let him have it.
That must be the place over there.
Let's find out.
Where's the box the boys brought last night?
Upstairs? What's it to you?
Take us up there. Come on, quit stalling. Where's that box?
In the experimental lab. But the door's locked and...
Now, put him in the closet.
Come on, you. Don't make a sound because I'll be right outside.
He's beating us to it.
Stand where you are, everybody.
I think that'll just about do it. Oh, hello there, my little crypt kickers. We're just finishing up our choice of weaponry for tonight's hunt. Alright, Pete, let's see what we've got here. Give me the rundown.
Aye, Captain. We have the usual gear in case the threat turns out to be supernatural in nature. The crosses, the holy water, the mystical amulets, silver bullets and the like. I've picked out your usual assortments of pistols, and your magical sword, Nuada's candle. Wait, should we take a lightsaber?
Couldn't hurt.
Okay, I'll grab one of those. We have an interocitor, a BFG, a super soaker full of regular water.
Ah, in case they turn out to be the aliens from Signs, right. What about the Wells Martians?
A few vials of the common cold. A little India love call from the Burtons, a shotgun full of rock salt, some darts with an ecstasy-like drug from the faculty, dandruff shampoo. Oh, and here's something. Should we pack a flamethrower?
Pete.
Ah, well, what about me?
Good point. Grab one off the rack. Well, while my trusty first mate Pete here loads up the armory, I'll get tonight's feature presentation rolling. The script for tonight's film was written in only about 6 weeks by Martin Barno, though the only story writing credit in the film is given to Roger Corman's younger brother Greene, who also produced the film. Originally titled The Creature from Galaxy 27, the story was inspired by the ongoing space race between the US and Russia, with a lot of inspiration from the 1951 film The Thing from Another World. That movie was based on the novel Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, which really was kind of a rip-off of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness. So what we have here tonight is a rip-off of an adaptation of a rip-off. Well, it's the closest we'll get to any Lovecraft movies on this show. Oh, that reminds me, we should probably pack a few Elder Signs. Anyway, Night of the Blood Beast was directed by Bernard Kowalski, was released by American International Pictures, and stars Michael Emmet, Angela Greene, John Baer, and Ed Nelson. It is the story of America's first manned flight into outer space, which of course goes horribly wrong. Astronaut John Corcoran, played by Emmet, is forced to crash back to Earth after his ship is struck in orbit. But he didn't arrive alone, oh no. With him is the titular Blood Beast, an alien creature using the astronaut's blood to help propagate its species and, say it with me now, try to take over the world. Here on Damien's Dreadfuls is Roger Corman's 1958 sci-fi ripoff, Night of the Blood Beast.
This is X-100 to Goldenrod. X-100 to Goldenrod. Do you read me? Over. Normal descent on instruments. Normal descent on instruments. Altitude 90,000 feet. Approaching critical velocity. Something's wrong. I'm falling too fast. Goldenrod, I'm in trouble. The jets don't break my speed. I'm releasing the drag chute. The ship feels 500 pounds heavier. There's no drag, and I'm getting too close to the Earth. There's nothing more I can do now. Estimate impact radius. 10 miles northeast your location. In case recorder's damage, get this. Velocity 6,700 miles. Weight ratio 1 to 87. Thrust 220 tons. I'll tell the others. Goldenrod Baker to Goldenrod Able. Goldenrod Baker to Goldenrod Able. Goldenrod Baker to Goldenrod Able. Goldenrod Baker to Goldenrod Able.
Did you find it?
Came down about 3 miles east of Walker's Pass. Area 116 or 117 on your map.
How bad is he?
He bought it all the way.
You're certain?
No respiration, no heartbeat, no pulse. Came down pretty hard. The rocket unit's still in one piece and most of the control section. Everything else is scattered around for about half a mile.
Tell Donna to cover the entire area. Canaveral will want all the visual data we can give them.
Oh, and don't move anything till we get there.
Goldenrod Baker out.
I'm terribly sorry, Julie. I can understand how you feel. But we can't let it interfere with the work we have to do. You both knew it was a calculated risk.
I'll be all right, Doctor.
Well, let's get going.
Dave, look at the composition of this mud.
Dr. Wyman wants you to get full coverage on the entire area.
This was your first project under Dr. Wyman, wasn't it?
Yeah. I helped design the jettison unit that didn't work.
On a project like this, there's always a margin for error. You expect it.
Sure. Then when it comes, you'll find you really didn't expect it after all. You think Julie expected it? With his engagement ring on her finger?
John Corman was the first man to be sent up in a satellite and ejected back to Earth. Only he was supposed to come back alive. Let's check the rest of it.
Look, Dave. Look. Don't blame yourself.
The answer lies in this wreckage. Let's recheck the crash pattern.
What's that?
This rip was smaller when we first got here. Would the stress of settling into the ground have widened it?
How could that be? The entire hull is made of magneridium alloy. I'd like to examine the body before we bring it out. All right. Watch you don't cut yourself, Doctor.
Dr. Benson, come here quickly. Bring my bag. I want you to see this. How long would you say he'd been dead?
It's been at least 3 hours since the crash.
Over 3 hours and no sign of body rigidity. No skin discoloration. Temperature feels normal. No dilation whatsoever.
The cause of death must be due to an internal rupture.
I've never seen an internally damaged body with no sign of rigor mortis after so long. Let's get him back to the lab so we can continue the examination.
Help Dr. Wyman. He wants to take John back to the lab.
Right.
Dave, get a blanket.
Hello, Everglade. Hello, Everglade. This is Goldenrod. This is Goldenrod. How do you receive, over?
Aren't they receiving us?
That's not the question. Are we transmitting? They don't receive anything from us. They won't try and reach us until the frequency check at 9 o'clock.
By all medical standards, this man is dead. No heartbeat, no respiration. Yet his tissues refuse to dissipate.
Was it possible he could be in a kind of catatonic state? Could he still be alive?
Perhaps a form of hypometabolism.
That's impossible. His heart is stopped. There's no circulation. You know as well as I do that when this process stops, the brain starts to deteriorate almost at once. Within a matter of 3 minutes, it dies.
Hello, Everglade. Hello, Everglade. This is Goldenrod. This is Goldenrod. How do you receive? Over.
Maybe after this long a radio silence, we'll switch over to an emergency channel.
I've already tried that. How about the Air Force? Hello, Air Force emergency. This is Special CQD Goldenrod Station. How do you receive? Over. Everything's all fouled up here. I couldn't receive the spot weather report on this thing.
Yeah, but are you sure it's not your set?
No, I've already checked everything. Will you go out and ask Steve to come in here a minute?
Sure.
Hello, Everglade. Hello, Everglade. This is Goldenrod. This is Goldenrod. Do you receive? Over.
Nothing, Doctor. Doctor.
What is it? It's not a lesion. It's more like something had been forced through the tissue into high pressure.
Steve, the radio still won't work. Dave wants to see you.
Okay. I'll bet they're going nuts at the Cape. Get that radio working, Steve. We're going to need assistance.
Hey, what's the trouble? I can't transmit across the room with this thing.
It sounds like a magnetic disturbance.
Yeah. Could be the power lines fouled up outside. What's happening in there?
I don't know. Somehow we've got to get through to the Cape.
5 hours overdue now. I bet half the brass in the state of Florida's up in arms.
I hope not. If enough people find out about this, we'll have everybody up here.
I'll check the tower. You stay here and keep trying to get through, will you?
Yeah.
Look, if you pick up anything, give a yell, eh?
Right.
Blood pressure 120/80. Normal for a living man.
That's impossible, Doctor. You must have made a mistake.
But, Doctor, I checked it twice.
Well, this man does have normal pressure. That's impossible. Take a blood sample. I'll make a radiation count.
Goldenrod to Everglade. Goldenrod to Everglade. Come in, Everglade. Over. Goldenrod to Everglade. Come in, Everglade. This is an emergency.
Steve?
What happened?
Something hit me. It was big like a bear. It came from out of the darkness and was heading for the lab. I know I put a couple of shots in it before I went down.
Wounded animal that large isn't good. How well are we armed?
Well, besides these pistols, we've got a couple of rifles.
I think it headed toward the back of the building.
Dave, are you sure you're all right?
Yeah, it just clipped me.
It's inside.
It's in the medical room.
Wait a minute.
At the window. Down to get the other lanterns. Did it get to him?
No.
What do you think it was?
Well, this didn't come off any Baer. Bring the light over here, will you? No fur, no blood.
Very much like leather.
Is the power out completely?
Yes, it is. You have any idea what caused it? Could be a break in the cable at the dam or a short circuit in one of the transformers.
Dave, are you sure the building was thoroughly checked? Are the wiring and fuses all right?
I went over everything thoroughly. I checked everything. I'll check again. Nothing's wrong here. Like I said, it's probably the disturbance up at the dam.
Well, Steve needs some help boarding the window.
Well, at least we won't freeze. I think a place like this would be equipped with heating. Up until a few months ago, this was a radar monitoring station. Most of the ultra-sensitive instruments respond better to the cooler atmosphere. Systolic was 140.
I'll have a blood sample for you in a few minutes.
How long do you think it'll take Canaveral to realize we're incommunicado and send aid? Well, if the security operation is tight as this, maybe another 12 hours. That could mean we could be here another day.
Doctor! Doctor! I've never seen anything quite like it. Notice the way it's fighting the others.
"7 hours and his blood is still alive. One of us will have to drive to the nearest telephone and call the Cape. Every minute counts.
What is it?
I've seen amoebic dominance of a cell structure before, but this is completely out of proportion.
Well, what are they? What do they mean?
Well, normal blood has two basic cells. The red carry oxygen and the white fight infection. But this blood has three. The third cell, that big one, well, that's completely foreign to any blood structure. If that bacterioid is contagious, then we've all been exposed.
I doubt if it's communicable.
We better get to the nearest town fast. I imagine that'll be Desert City.
But that's over 30 miles. Isn't there anything closer?
There's nothing on the map.
Steve, call the Cape from Desert City. Get in touch with Dr. Zimmerman. Don't go into detail. Just tell him to get here as quickly as he can.
What about equipment?
Well, we need a new power supply. Need a refrigerated truck or an ambulance to transport the body. Oh, and tell him to request priority clearance directly to Walter Reed Hospital in Washington.
Right. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Keep checking the blood pressure, Doctor.
The last count was 140/80.
Well, that's all we can do at the present.
All right, I think we've got everything we need for this venture, Pete. Wait, what's all that for?
Oh, these are my testing supplies. You know, in case we need to see who is an alien shapeshifter and who isn't.
Clever, if not a little derivative. But I still can't remember where I've seen that before. Welcome back, boys and ghouls. What do you think of the movie so far? I know we haven't even seen the monster yet, but with as cheap as everything else about this film looks, you can imagine the low-budget monstrosity that we'll be getting a little later on. In fact, Night of the Blood Beast was shot in only 7 days, on a budget of just $68,000. Another Corman rush job. You're lucky if you can get a new car for that anymore. Though the film did actually cost the Cormans a little bit more in the long run. Screenwriter Martin Varno was so upset about his treatment during the making of this film that he actually sued the Cormans. While a lot of writers and actors have claimed to have issues with the Cormans over the years, Varno is the only one to ever actually take them to court. He claimed that he was underpaid for his services, and he alleges that the story was entirely his, despite the fact that Gene was given original story credit. Varno actually won both parts of his suit, but it took years for Roger Corman to pay him. This refusal to pay meant that Roger couldn't use any union writers in any of his pictures for a little while, but he eventually ponied up the dough when he needed a union writer.
Wait, Captain, now there's an idea.
What is?
Well, all these billionaires have a history of denying their low-wage workers access to unions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should we take some kind of union certificate or something to see if it frightens Vandergeld? To see if he's still human?
I don't know, Pete. It couldn't hurt. But I actually have my suspicion that all these billionaires aren't exactly human in the first place. Anyway, let's start packing up. Creeps, I'll let you get back to the movie.
Any luck with the Jeep?
I can't figure it out. Cars in both the truck and the Jeep are burnt out.
Stopped.
They're both stopped. Take a look. We're in a magnetic force field.
A what?
A net of static electricity is surrounding the entire area. That's why our power's dead.
Well, we're not going anywhere tonight. The truck and the Jeep are burned out electrically.
What would cause a thing like that?
There's a very powerful magnetic source somewhere nearby. It's reversing all positive electrical power. Dr. Wyman, how close is the satellite compartment?
2, maybe 3 miles.
I was just thinking, is it possible that the compartment could be bombarded with electron particles?
It could be. It's happened before in some of the earlier snark firings to the Cape. When the missiles came back to Earth, they were pretty heavily magnetized.
But there's a mountain range between us and the compartment.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any logic behind any of this.
Well, here's something to complicate things even more. This was a shot I took when Dave and I first got out there. Look at it closely. Dave, remember I mentioned the strange mud?
Yes?
Well, this was the last shot taken. Most of the mud has disappeared and the opening is larger.
Yes, I remember that when we took John out of the compartment. But at the time, it didn't seem important.
Well, someone or something must have been there.
There's an explanation and a good one for all of this. There must be. Some of the things that have occurred today are without precedent. The man in there alive, it should be dead. Something that's never happened before. And we've never sent a man so far into space before. Well, we're all tired, disappointed, but under a terrible strain. After this long, the Cape has probably contacted the Pentagon. It's just a matter of time.
What if they can't get through? The magnetic force field works both ways.
Well, in the morning, one of us will have to hike down and meet them. As a precautionary measure, I suggest we all stay in this room tonight. Steve and Dave and I will take turns watching Corman. Right. Julie.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I just can't hold it back any longer.
I know. I wish there was something I could say. I'll listen if you like.
It's bad enough losing someone you love. But this, the unknown, being held here. Alex,
Julie, he alone stood on the threshold of our future. What happened to him today, we may learn more than we've ever known. Maybe I should just listen.
So incongruous. He's dead. But is he dead?
Scientists, the more we learn, the more we realize there is to learn. Life itself is the greatest miracle. Well, when we get him to the hospital tomorrow, maybe we'll know.
Good night, Doctor.
Good night, Julie.
Head's gone.
One.
There's nothing you can do.
Must have taken the body. Whatever it is, it works fast. Let's take him down. I don't know. I think so. Where's Dr. Wyman? What happened?
Suppose you tell us what happened.
Julie, what happened to Dr. Wyman?
He's dead.
Why are you staring at me? You don't think that I had anything to do with it?
John, we're just as confused as you are. Did you see anything? Was there anybody in the room with you and Dr. Wyman?
I don't know. Last thing I remember, I was making my descent. The jets didn't take hold. When I finally released the drag chute, it didn't hold. I was too close to the ground.
You crashed. We brought you here. You don't remember?
I seemed to be floating in a warm, black mist. Oh, my head. My neck.
Oh, no. Look at that.
The same mark. What's this? Tell me what's happening.
Johnny, you don't understand. We thought you were dead.
Dead? What do you mean, dead?
When we pulled you out of the compartment, your body had completely ceased to function.
A hypometabolistic state. A type of suspended animation brought on by the contraction of the mesenteric blood vessels in the pressure change of landing.
That kind of terminology I'd expected from Dr. Wyman, not from you.
Well, it seemed like the natural diagnosis.
From Dr. Wyman, yes.
In some way, I think Dr. Wyman is influencing me. I think he may be a part of me now. I don't understand. You've got to help me! Help me!
Fantastic. It's unbelievable. Things like this just don't happen.
But it has happened.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. It didn't come here to destroy.
Johnny, try to tell us. What didn't come here to destroy us?
Is he all right?
Yes.
They're gone.
What are you talking about?
Come see for yourself. That's what your blood looks like now. Normal in every respect. 4 hours ago, it was populated with alien amorphic cell structures.
I think we should see what I look like under the fluoroscope.
How will it work with the power out?
It operates on a radium cathode tube.
What are they?
The amorphic cell structures have expanded to...
They're using his body for a breeding ground. You're not going to harm them, are you?
What do you mean? We don't even know what they are.
The one thing we do know is that they're alien to the human body.
Somehow they must have come down with you in the compartment.
Only a few hours ago, they were microscopic. We've got to do something.
If you destroy them, you destroy me. You can't destroy them.
Well, why not?
That's why not.
Steve, don't shoot him, I'll hurt you! Steve, don't shoot! Don't shoot him, I'll hurt you!
Burned, but it got away, didn't it?
I don't think it'll go very far.
It's gone. It was burned pretty bad. I think we ought to track it down and make sure it's dead.
No, let's wait for help. We can't possibly combat that thing by ourselves.
Look, nobody has gotten to us, and no one probably will until it's destroyed.
Why does it have to be killed? Why are we always so quick to destroy? It's an alien. It's the first of its kind to come to the Earth.
John, you know what it's done to you, breeding its young in your body. You saw what it did to Dr. Wyman. Isn't that reason enough? It has to be killed.
You don't understand. It didn't come in malice. It could have killed all of you earlier, but it was me it was after. It had to come back to me to nourish its young.
All the more reason to destroy it.
Suppose it is still alive. Bullets don't harm it.
Well, fire seems to. How about a very pistol? Has an engulfing flame plus a delayed explosion.
It's better than a lantern.
Very pistol?
A flare gun. At short range, it'll chop down anything.
There's some in the cabinet in the hall. I'll get them.
No, Dave, you can't. Listen, you can't kill a living creature without giving it a chance to justify itself. Oh.
Let's put him in there. Give him something to keep him quiet.
Sodium amytal.
Good. We'll leave you here to watch him. Donna will come with us. We're going to need photographic coverage. Will that really keep him out until we get back?
I don't know. Under normal circumstances, this should render him unconscious for at least 12 hours.
But this isn't a normal person. What you and he were to each other has no bearing on what he is now, Julie.
I'm not worried. He's not dangerous. Not to me, anyway.
Oh, we can't take any chances. That creature eludes us and comes back here. Or if he gives you a bad time, you better know how to use a very pistol. Believe me, Julie, he's not the same man you were engaged to. Thanks. Let me have one for Julie, will you? Now, don't worry. If we run into any trouble, we're not going to be heroes. Just pull the hammer back.
Just be back as soon as you can.
This fart's a lot healthier than I am.
You know, I think it's leading us back to the compartment.
Yeah, it looks that way.
How long do you think we've been out?
Hey, look, my watch is running again.
Mine, too.
That means the magnetic field must be broken. It must be dead.
We better make certain.
That seems like the most likely place for it to go.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Maybe it's on the inside.
Yeah. Only you stay here until we're sure it's safe. Dave, you circle to the left and I'll go to the right.
Check.
Nothing could possibly live through that. Look, it stopped again.
Hey, Steve! I better get some pictures before there's nothing left to shoot! I don't think so. It could have killed me. But it didn't.
Probably would if we hadn't chased it off. Might have wound up like Wyman.
We better get back. Julie's all alone, and the monster may try and contact Corman again.
Yeah, let's go.
Welcome back, my little trip kickers. Pete is outside loading up the car. I'm just kind of waiting out the movie with you all. And finally, it took us 34 minutes into this film before we got a decent shot of the monster in full. And what a cheap creature it is too, can you believe that? Apologies to my dearest Elvira, but that is what a Gumby on steroids looks like. If you're familiar with a lot of Corman's films, the creature might actually look familiar. The alien costume for the titular blood beast was used in Corman's film Teenage Caveman, also from 1958. We already know about Corman's habit of reusing sets to save a few dollars, and this costume goes right along with that. In fact, the costume scenes in Blood Beast and Teenage Caveman were only shot about 2 weeks apart, with some slight modifications to the costume for Blood Beast. According to Varna, the nose on the creature, originally trimmed down for the film, had to be further cut down to a short beak after someone on set said that it looked too Jewish. Of course, in Teenage Caveman, the costume is actually a radiation suit for a scientist who has survived a nuclear holocaust that's created the new Stone Age. I just hope that's not the plan for whatever extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional being may have sent Vandergeld back to us.
I say we do it first.
Do what?
A preemptive strike. We take off and nuke the whole site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
And how do you propose we get to orbit, Ripley? Even Bezos didn't get into orbit. None of these guys have yet.
Oh, come on, Captain. I'm sure there must be a way.
Alright, that's enough of that. Finish loading up the car, and you lot finish up the movie.
be afraid, Julie. I'm not going to hurt you.
That wasn't meant for you. That was for the creature or whatever it is.
Don't stare at me, Julie.
I'm sorry, John.
If what you say is true and I've been dead, I don't know what this means for us, but I haven't changed in my feeling. Julie, we're all afraid of the unknown. You don't understand what's happened to me, and because there's an unknown being, you want to destroy it. But isn't it possible that what's taking place is for a purpose? Why not let the creature have a chance to tell us why it's here?
But it broke in and attacked us. It killed Dr. Wyman. It's done this to you. We had to do something. Now the others have gone to make sure it's dead.
It's not dead, and they won't be able to find it.
How do you know?
Julie, I'm the one who's had the most contact with it. Something foreign is inside of me. Alive. If there was any cause for fear, wouldn't I know it? But I'm not afraid. This creature is intelligent. It wants something. We've got to give it a chance to communicate with us.
See, the sedative didn't work.
My bodily reactions aren't those of a normal person.
What happened to the creature?
Got away.
Then it's alive. He told me it would be. Somehow he knew. He seems so sure that it's not evil.
This isn't a battle between men and a non-reasoning being. Can't you see it doesn't want to kill for the sake of killing? It could have done away with all of us earlier if it wanted to.
Until we discovered its fear of fire.
Listen. When you were out checking the power lines last night, all you had with you was a pistol, which you fired at it with no effect. If it had been a wild animal, it would have tried to kill you before moving on.
Can you account for what happened to Dr. Wyman?
No, I can't. But maybe it could if we give it the chance.
Why should we give it a chance? It's already committed murder. It's done I don't know what to you, and it's attacked Donna.
Look. If you were in a strange place and you were trying to communicate with the inhabitants, but every time you tried, they made a move against you, the only way to break through to them would be to take a hostage. Can't you see that's what it's been doing? It's been acting out of fear and self-preservation. It wants to communicate with us, but it doesn't know how. We've got to give it a chance.
What do you have in mind?
It's obvious the creature keeps coming back to me because part of it is inside of me. Why not let me lead us to it? In the daylight, in the open.
Maybe he's got something. When we were out searching for the creature, our watches started running again. And then when we encountered it, they stopped. On our way back here, they became active again. And now everything's dead. Now, it's my guess that the magnetic disturbance originated from two different locations. One from the creature, and then from you. It might be the only thing that's keeping you alive.
If my life has been given back to me, it's for a purpose. Trust me, and we'll learn why.
If the creature isn't what you believe it to be and we're forced to kill it, then we have no indication of what will happen to you.
I know. That's why it's important to let the creature make itself known before we take any action.
All right. But if we follow Johnny's plan, we still have to be prepared. We've no way of knowing what can happen to us out there.
Remember, we've agreed to give the creature every opportunity to prove itself.
In the morning, we still agree to follow Johnny's plan. We'll get an early start.
By that time, maybe help will arrive.
Dave and I will stand guard. The rest of you get as much sleep as you can.
Will it come back here tonight?
I don't know.
I'm a little worried about Johnny's plan.
So am I. I don't know if he's responsible for his actions.
Think it might be a trap?
If it is, this time we're going to be prepared. Come on. How about a Molotov cocktail?
We fill it with gasoline and then use it as a hand grenade.
That's a ticket. We could saturate the creature and detonate it with a Baer pistol. There's no way it could escape then.
How many bombs are we going to make?
Well, between us, we ought to be able to carry about 6.
What are we going to do with the girls?
Take them with us. It's better than leaving them here unprotected. That's enough.
Are we going to tell Julie and Donna about this?
I think we better. Make sure Johnny doesn't find out, huh?
You ever seen any of these work before?
Yeah. Guadalcanal. Guerrilla tank was running wild behind our lines. He knew we couldn't do any much damage with our rifle, so he was playing kind of a cat and mouse game. Until he knew he could finish us off. Not far from where we were, there was a truck overturned, and a kid in it saw what was happening. Got the brilliant idea to bring me some gasoline, and we made up some of these. That tank came by, we smeared it but good. It's pretty horrible to see, but it worked.
Yeah, well, it'd be good for me to get off of this mountain. Even with these cocktails, I'm not anxious to tangle with that creature again.
Well, none of us are, but I don't think we have any choice. It came down the satellite, it's our responsibility. Besides, it's better to stalk it and have it come after us.
Yeah, you're probably right. And so, I wish we could wait for some help. I just don't like the idea of taking Julie and Donna with us.
Well, I don't either. Then we don't know when help will arrive. We can't leave them alone. What are you doing here?
What are you doing with Dr. Wyman's body?
I couldn't sleep. I had to see how he was killed. Half his head gone. It's horrible. I don't expect you to trust me. I don't even know whether I can trust myself, but please don't treat me like a monster. I haven't done anything wrong.
John, it's not a question of right or wrong. Maybe you're not responsible for your actions. Whether you are or not, who knows what you might do?
Look, John, don't you realize this unknown creature is using your body as a breeding ground? We don't know what to expect.
I can't deny anything you've said. I do receive impulses from the creature, but I know I have free will. I know I can still make my own decisions.
Was it your own free will or the creature's? But insist it's benevolent.
I'm not sure. But I do know that we have to give it a chance to explain, and I know that no harm will come to you.
Daylight will be here in about 3 hours.
Gotta get some rest.
It's all the same to you. I'll stay here for a while.
I'll get the bags.
All right.
You will give it a chance to explain.
We'll give it a chance.
creature isn't far away. There's some hills to the north, and a cave.
But he's never been in this area before. How does he know there's a cave?
It's in there.
Julie, Donna, stay there.
There's nothing to fear.
We're not going to take any unnecessary chances. The girls will wait here. Okay, you lead the way.
You're going to give it a chance? You're not going to kill it? You're not going to kill it!
What happened? Why did you let him go?
We couldn't stop him.
I brought them to you. They don't understand. I'm not sure I do. How can I help you to communicate with us?
Now I am able to speak by assimilation, a form of photosynthesis. I have been able to incorporate certain of Dr. Wyman's functional processes.
Was Dr. Wyman's death necessary?
Through his sacrifice, I can communicate, understand your reasoning, your motivations, your way of life. I will need your help. Together we must make them understand that I have not harmed you, that we will give them a better way of life.
Look! Listen! Please listen!
Do not be afraid. I am not here to harm you.
We're too far away.
Let's move in.
Do not be afraid.
That's Dr. Wyman's voice.
It is his voice.
But how?
Yes, I am using Dr. Wyman's voice. I have been able to master the use of many of his faculties. With his voice, I am able to communicate with you.
You killed him!
He is not dead.
Not dead.
He has gained something more than life as you know it. He is the first of your kind to attain immortality.
Immortality? We're not interested in that kind of immortality.
I know you want to destroy me, but listen. Please listen. I only want to help you. Millions of years ago, my people inhabited a planet such as yours. We discovered the ultimate power, just as you on Earth are about to do.
You ready to make your move?
We should have put this power to our own benefit. Instead, hatred, greed, and prejudice caused us to misuse that power. And it brought about our own destruction.
Open target. Now's our chance.
But you can't risk killing Johnny.
No, wait.
What harm is there in hearing them out?
For centuries, we have been circling your Earth, waiting for a means to penetrate your atmosphere. Your projectile was the first to present a means of entry. Those before were not retractable and burned as they fell back to Earth. I am the first to come.
Death and destruction?
If what you say is true, what are we to expect?
You need me, and I have come. Through me, we will unite our intellects within one body.
It's insane.
And how do you plan to do that?
Already it has begun. Within the hour, the first of our new generation will be born.
It's true. I can feel them inside. You're imposing your will on us. You're sacrificing our civilization for the resurrection of your own. I've been a fool. The only way you can be saved from your downfall is by our sacrifice. What you propose is dominance, not salvation.
Don't be governed by fear.
Go ahead and kill me. You've already said I'm dead. A dead man with a brain and a body kept alive artificially to feed a generation of monsters.
That's not true.
If you don't kill me, a new civilization is inside of me. It will destroy mankind as we know it today. The future of our race is in you. You've got to kill me.
We have to destroy it. John!
Run! Get away from it!
He will live on to become a greater being in future generations to come. Don't kill me. In destroying me, you are destroying your only hope for mankind.
You've got to kill me!
We will still save you. In your quest for self-destruction, you will send up more satellites. And we will be there, waiting to come again.
Made the right decision.
John made the decision.
Let's hope it was the right one. We'll probably never know.
Well, that should just about do it, Captain. The Doom buggy's all loaded up.
I'm sorry, did you just refer to my classic 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor hearse as the Doom buggy?
Yes.
I like it. Ah, hello again, creeps. How did you like it? The movie, not the car name. I know it's silly, but what did you expect from a super low-budget Roger Corman vehicle? Again, I mean the movie, not the, whatever. Night of the Blood Beast has always been met with some pretty negative reviews, although it has been bad enough to stick around and be entertaining. So bad, in fact, that Varno, who wrote the film, claimed that he had to have two guys hold him down so that he didn't slit his own throat when he was accidentally included in a surprise viewing of the film. The film itself has been called well-directed but too low budget to succeed, cheap but enjoyable and buoyed by its concepts, and has been ranked as the 5th worst monster movie of all time by Chris Edgerston of Bloody Disgusting. He also commented on how the monster looks like a human-sized parrot covered in feces. Two positive things can be said about the film, though. The idea of an alien impregnating a human to breed its young like some extraterrestrial wasp was an interesting concept and could be said to predate Ridley Scott's idea for the xenomorphs in the classic Alien. And the movie made for a great Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode. In fact, while Eggleston ranked the movie itself as the 5th worst monster movie of all time, Night of the Blood Beast has actually been ranked as MST3K's 5th best episode, even if it does include, quote, the stupidest collection of scientists ever to peer into a microscope. Well, I think it's time that Pete and I head off and take out a few scientists ourselves. Who knows what may have gotten into Argent Vandergeld's team after he landed. Still bothers me, though, that I can't quite put my finger on where I've seen some of this before. Oh well. Pete, to the doom buggy! Well, as for you lot, thank you again for joining me for another episode of Damian's Dreadfuls. As always, I have been your ever-so-charming host, Lord Damian MacDonovan. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a ghastly evening.
Hey, Captain. I was heading to the car and this guy showed up, and he said he's the carpenter you've been asking for?
Oh, bloody hell, I forgot all about him.
What do you have him working on?
Oh, it's just this thing.